Taking down the center.
Yep, your center.
It's good?
Yep.
Okay. Alright, man, you ready?
Yep.
Alright. Yo, man, welcome to the Black Narrative on BlackIce.
And I'm BlackIce.
Yo, we're here in Houston, Texas right now.
Close to downtown. I'm. What's the name of the park?
West Buffalo Bayou Park.
Okay,
yeah. Right down here at Buffalo Bayou Park.
Yeah.
Man, when I tell you, yesterday was a long day in Houston. It was a very long day in Houston. We went to Houston Underground, and I kind of didn't know my way.
Even though
I've been to Houston Underground before, yeah.
We got some brisket towards the end though, and that made up for it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But
but we don't want to leave you without a show this week, so we try to do a short episode for you. The upload. We're still on the road, but y'all will be back in our regular studio in Atlanta next week.
Yes.
But but we do want to cover a couple of headlines that we came across early this morning, actually.
The first one, you want to start light and then get to everyone. The first one, we want to talk about Kendrick Lamar. Actually, one of his what was it? His engineer, I believe.
Yeah, mixed by Ali.
Yeah, rumored that Kendrick Lamar might be dropping this year. Which I honestly think that he might drop in the next couple months.
Yes, I think it'd probably be by next month. Because the reason I say that he already signed up for the summer music festivals already.
Right.
He actually signed up for it last year, but the whole pandemic thing happened.
Exactly.
So I think he's just sitting on music right now, to be honest. So I think it'll be this year.
Yeah. And they talk about it being
summer.
Like a mix with like kind of like rock music.
Yeah. But the last album, Damn, came out 4 years ago. So I don't see you being the headliner at a music festival from the last album 4 years ago. So
man, and I'm telling you, it's crazy to think that Damn was released 4 years ago.
Yeah, time counts flew by.
Seriously.
Yeah, man. But we caught something on CNN early this morning.
Yeah.
I actually saw the New York Times, but I was on the CNN, and Joe Biden made the announcement that he was calling troops out of Afghanistan. So which is part of the plan, but we're going to details on why he's doing it.
Right.
So
some interesting stuff contained in this article. If we could, I'll probably read the first couple paragraphs and then just go to the key points.
Okay.
So, President Joe Biden formally announced his decision to end America's longest war on Wednesday, deeming the prolonged and intractable conflict in Afghanistan no longer aligned with America's priorities.
That was the key thing that you picked up on.
That's already something interesting because another article that's been flown around, and I mean overall you've been hearing about issues between Putin and Biden.
Yeah.
And now you have this whole conflict with Crimea and the Ukraine again.
Yeah.
And now that's bubbling, and now you're having the whole thing with the Uyghurs in China. So you notice how both of these conflicts are having to do with these different states in these different countries.
But I think the main thing pulled from that article, or from what he said right then, he didn't put them out for the sake of the troops. He didn't put them out for the sake of the Afghan people.
Right.
He said like it's no longer in line for American priorities. Like that's the reason we're pulling this out.
It's all chess. At the end of the day, they're not doing it for just like I tell people, a corporation is soulless.
Yeah. It wasn't for humanitarian reasons. It was to actually want to end the war.
Right.
He said it's no longer in line with American priorities. That's the real reason why he's pulling them out.
Exactly. Keep going. Biden said he will withdraw U.S. troops from Afghanistan before September 11th, the 20th anniversary of the terrorist attacks on the World Trade Center and the Pentagon that launched the war in the first place.
Right. Yeah. So like symbolism once again, the whole September 11th thing, and then like I said, that's the whole thing that jump started that war in the first place because of that 9/11.
Yep.
Which we can't say too much about it, but we know that wasn't the reason why it happened. That's an internal attack. For the most part, because without going too much detail, you know about the Twin Towers. Right. Just look at the third tower, World Trade Center number 7.
That no
plane hit that fell down the exact same way as the other two buildings hours later.
Right.
It was a free fall. So you can't get too much into it because we didn't try to get pulled or banned.
Definitely not.
But they used that attack to justify going to Afghanistan. And remember also at the time, they said they had evidence of weapons of mass destruction that were never found.
Right,
Right, yeah. So, so you told even in Afghanistan for 20 years, It's something that was done to you know the real reason why they Afghanistan is. It was a money situation.
Exactly.
But yeah, go ahead.
I'll read this paragraph. Those origins have long given way to other objectives, and Biden declared Wednesday that no amount of time or money could solve the problems his three predecessors had tried and failed to fix. War in Afghanistan was never meant to be a multi-generational undertaking, Biden said during his remarks from the White House Treaty Room, the same location from which President George W. Bush had announced the war was beginning in October of 2001. We were attacked. We went to war with clear goals. We achieved those objectives, Biden went on. Bin Laden is dead and Al-Qaeda is degraded in Afghanistan, and it's time to end the war forever.
But they say clear objectives, and they say the one of the objectives was kill Osama, but he's been dead. He was dead during the Obama era.
Right.
So why was still there?
Hey, we were there for a minute because Obama. We had a whole other presidency that happened after the Obama era.
Yeah.
So why wasn't? I mean, but
like I said, once again, we know the real reason why we're over there. We just point out what the media is saying.
Exactly. It was a decisive moment for a president not yet 100 days into the job. Biden had spent months weighing his decision, and he determined a war in Afghanistan that has killed some 2,300 U.S. troops and cost more than $2 trillion no longer fit within the pressing foreign policy concerns of 2021. Again, that theme comes up of pressing foreign policies.
Yeah.
So you already have a feeling of what's called which policies he's talking about. Let me see. Let me actually try to look through a little bit more.
Yeah, it was another part of it, interesting how it went through like two Republican presidents and two Democratic presidents through this war. So this is like, when I read that part, once again it proved that, they're all on the same tip.
Exactly.
They keep telling you, right, so like the media try to make black people so emotional about, having a Democratic president going against a Republican president, but they both had the same results.
Exactly.
You had two Republican presidents and two Democratic presidents doing the exact same thing.
And
no difference.
And an interesting thing, which I mean, it's not worthy to read. Yasmin will probably put the article up with the video. But Biden talks about how him and Obama were going head to head when it came to the issue of Afghanistan, and they didn't agree. But all of a sudden, he talks to Obama now, and Obama's saying how Biden is making the right choice.
Yeah.
So it seems like to me they're trying to prop up Biden as the people's champ.
Basically.
And it's interesting because another thing that he brought up during this article was how voters voted, for the war in Afghanistan to stop. But what's going on with the black vote? The black vote was seen as so important, but we're not having anything done for us.
Yeah.
But when he says the voters, he's talking about everybody that's not black.
Basically.
At the end of the day. So every other race is gonna love him.
Yeah.
When it comes to us, he doesn't care.
Yeah.
Here's the interesting part. Biden said the withdrawal will begin on May 1st in line with an agreement President Donald Trump's administration made with the Taliban. Some U.S. troops will remain to protect American diplomats though officials have declined to provide a precise number.
So the main headline saying you're putting all the troops out of Afghanistan. You're also reading, they just said they will keep some troops there.
Right.
And then they also said in a small sentence that was something that Trump was already working on.
So
there's a deal that he already made a year ago.
So the deal with Trump. So there's a separate article kind of detailing a little bit the deal that Trump made with the Taliban, which I didn't know about.
Yeah, we just learned about this morning.
Right. And so you're thinking like, what are they talking about? Well, it's some kind of peace treaty that Trump's administration made with the Taliban. A peace treaty with the Taliban.
Did you notice the date of that deal?
May 1st.
No, the deal when he made what Trump made with the Taliban.
What was the date?
I saw it on that article. They said February 2020.
Yeah.
This is a month before the whole pandemic happened.
That is true.
Also noticed that there was no terrorist attacks the whole year.
Right.
But remember part of the deal.
It's interesting.
And he said part of that deal that Trump made with Taliban is like, he said I'll pull them out in 14 months, I think.
Yeah.
He said I'll be ready for us. He said 14 months if y'all stop attacking. He had no attacks.
Right. You better behave, dog. But let me see. Let's go into it. And that is true because but you didn't have any attacks from Taliban or the ISIS or none of these different organizations.
And you look at the deal that Trump made with Taliban. He said, "I'll point troops out if you stop, having attacks."
Right.
And that was February 2020.
So let's actually look into this a bit. What is the U.S. Taliban deal? The Trump administration made withdrawing troops from Afghanistan a priority. So that's the Trump administration made this a priority. Yeah. The deal signed in February of 2020 said that the U.S. and its NATO allies would withdraw all troops in 14 months if the Taliban upheld its promises, including not allowing Al-Qaeda or other militants to operate in areas it controlled and proceeding with national peace talks. The Afghan wars, let me skip that. Although the Taliban, a hardline Islamic movement, stopped attacks on international forces, it, as part of the historic agreement, it had continued to fight the Afghan government. As a condition of starting negotiations with the Afghan government, the Taliban also demanded that thousands of their men be released as in the prisoner swap. Direct talks then began Doha in September 2020, but a breakthrough has still not been reached during that point. Levels of violence in the country remain high, with journalists, activists, politicians, and women judges among those killed in targeted assassinations.
He said that was February 2020. So after he said you uphold the peace talks, 14 months, and it's about that time.
Yeah.
It's about 14 months.
Right.
And like I said, that was from February, right before the pandemic. He had no terrorist attacks that whole year.
And it's interesting because it's interesting because you always hear this line: "We don't negotiate with terrorists. We don't negotiate with terrorists." But what did the U.S. government do?
Like Reagan did.
Right, exactly. They negotiated with terrorists. Ain't that something? So let me try to find another point. Biden said American diplomatic and humanitarian efforts would continue in Afghanistan, and that the U.S. would support peace efforts between the Afghan government and the Taliban. But he was unequivocal that 2 decades after it began, the Afghan war is ended. Now let me say, there was another part that really stood out to me. Let me see. Population, White House. Why you make this review? Okay, all right.
It's all good. We're just in the rush putting the show together.
Right.
You have to use those 2 screens to go on.
Right, we might as well take our time, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. All right, now here's another interesting point here. And you see, you guys, we don't have our complex technology. We just got our phones right now. Usually we would have screens and highlights and all kinds of stuff.
Thugging it out today.
Well, ain't we? All right, I can read these too. After nearly 2 decades of putting our troops in harm's way, it is time to recognize that we have accomplished all that we can militarily, and that it's time to bring our remaining troops home, he wrote. After decades of Afghanistan-focused national security meetings and decisions, Biden's foreign policy priorities now lie elsewhere in Asia, where he hopes to compete with China and Russia, whose president he spoke with Tuesday and proposed an upcoming summit.
So that's the real reason why he's pulling them out. He's regathering his resources so he can be prepared for China and Russia.
Right.
You gotta think about it, man. Like, the American government have over 700 bases around the world.
Yeah.
It's spread out pretty thin. So my thing is, if you put out all your troops out of Afghanistan, that means you're not trying to bring them home. You better relocate them to Asia.
To Asia, and it's interesting that he uses the phrasing "compete" with China and Russia.
Which has been saying.
You already know what competition means. The Cold War was the U.S. competing with the Soviet Union.
Money and power.
It's money and power, and it's war tactics. They're all moving their pieces on the board.
Yeah.
And Biden also said, rather than return to war with the Taliban, we have to focus on the challenges that are in front of us. And you already know what those challenges allude to: Russia and China. And see, this next thing. this next thing was interesting as well. Are there any more points to really cover after the women's rights point? Or that's
yeah, I get to wrap up with that.
Yeah. So the last point that we want to get into with the article is this last paragraph. Still, as Biden was making his decision, the prospect of the Taliban returning to power and potentially rolling back gains on security, democracy, and women's rights provide a stark counter-argument to an immediate U.S. withdrawal. So that point to me is interesting because, of course, the Taliban is very hard Islamic, they're very radical. And when it comes to the issue of women's rights, that was something that came up multiple times during this article. But the thing about it is, they're not going to France talking to them about women's rights because with the whole thing with the hijab or the hijab, they're not. To me, that's a women's rights issue.
Right.
Because if a woman wants to wear a hijab,
you're being punished for being modest.
You're being punished for being modest. So you're not able to wear your burqa to the beach. You're not able to wear your hijab. A mother can't accompany her kid to a field trip if she's wearing a hijab. These are laws put in place to regulate what women can wear. So doesn't that sound like a women's rights issue?
Yeah, that sounds like to me.
Right, but it's only a problem when they're forcing women to wear, to dress modestly.
Yeah.
Or what they see is forcing.
Yeah.
So that was the last interesting point and point of hypocrisy that we wanted to really point out. But I mean, that's really it for the show.
Yeah, we're going against time right now. We have a long trip ahead of us, and the rain and everything else going against us. And like I said, yesterday was a long day. Yeah. On top of that, but yeah, so we're gonna make a quick show, give something to look forward to. So we can try to have this posted on time tonight, if possible.
Yeah.
And my mind's kind of like racing right now.
Yeah.
I'm hungry.
I mean, what's called stay vigilant and don't judge the audio too much, please.
I know. Yeah, we definitely like and share the video. Sorry we don't have our regular intros and all that good stuff. But like and share, it really helps out the analytics with us. We've been banned on that channel. And y'all willing, next week we'll be back in Atlanta.
Yes.
All right, shalom.
Shalom, yo.